My name is Brooke Madera. Right now, this video is what I'm considering a personal video journaling of my experiences as an adult who is recently realized that they may be autistic. In my case, I'm certain that I am autistic, specifically what is called PDA, or pathological demand avoidance profile, that falls under the autism spectrum. But that's my own mind and my own determination based on the reading I've done and the questions I've asked the community. I am in the middle of being diagnosed, and that can take a few months. So until that point happens, I will refer to myself as self-diagnosed, which is true, for accuracy and clarity. I'm not sure yet where this is going, if it's going anywhere. Part of what I experience as a PDA individual who also has ADHD and complex PTSD due to my lifestyle of not having a diagnosis of autism, I can jump from topic to topic, thing to thing. I'm not good at all at committing to anything because I start to get anxiety and panic. This idea of journaling my experiences and my thought processes has been in my mind for the last few weeks. It initially started with me thinking about doing a blog and journaling that way, but it is very stressful right now for me to try to write things. I do enjoy writing, but it takes a lot more time because I am way more meticulous, and I don't have that level of energy. So I guess right now this video journaling is for myself. I like to hear people's thoughts and questions. I do like to interact with people, but it's very difficult for me right now. This feels like a way to connect with people. So to start with, I am going to answer the question a little bit of what exactly is PDA, where is it recognized, how is it diagnosed, just some cursory things. I don't know how in-depth I'm going to get to it right now. And then share how I came to identify as being PDA. So to start with, I'm going to read from the autism.org.uk website. Right now, PDA is only officially recognized in the UK, although here in America, you can get an autism diagnosis where it recognizes PDA as a profile of autism. So that means it has its own distinguished set of markers and characteristics that other autistic expressions do not have. What it says on the website is pathological demand avoidance is a profile that describes those whose main characteristic is to avoid everyday demands and expectations to an extreme extent. This section explains what a PDA profile is and the assessment process. It also links to some personal accounts from adults with PDA. I'm going to scroll down a little bit here. Profile for autistic adults. I guess I should have double checked this. I've pulled this up on my phone a few times, but this looks a little different. It says the existence of PDA as a diagnostic term and how it fits within the autism spectrum is widely debated. With limited evidence-based research, there is no conclusive and agreed upon definition of PDA. What is generally agreed upon is that what is often referred to as a PDA profile. Here we will detail what is meant by this profile. And this actually is not the website I was going to read from. Let me see. Oh, yeah. I pulled up the wrong thing. Sorry, this is what you get. It's my very first video, so I will learn to be better prepared next time. Here we go. PDA Society. If I learn how to edit video, then this will be much cleaner spliced, although I don't want to jump around a lot. So this comes from the pdasociety.org.uk, again, United Kingdom website. It says demand avoidance involves not being able to do certain things at certain times, either for yourself or others, and also refers to the things we do in order to avoid demands. PDA, or I should say demand avoidance, is a natural human trait. So I, through my lifetime, I've very much related to anybody who goes through a lot of anxiety or trauma, and their response to that is to withdraw from the world. For me, that's like a regular thing. I originally attributed my characteristics for avoiding things or feeling anxious at any kind of demand as being an expression of of trauma. So I thought, I have gone through certain experiences. Maybe I developed this aversion to anything that felt like a commitment, big or small. I thought that given time and therapy, counseling, proper medication, those feelings of demand avoidance would start to get better. I have spent a lot of years going through counseling. I saw a counselor 8 years ago. I had a breakdown. I saw a really good counselor that helped me work on some issues I had in my marriage and how I was approaching my marriage at that time. I made a lot of changes. This last year especially was a big deal for my relationship with my husband. We went through some very, very big self-realization moments, also vulnerability, opening up to each other, learning how to communicate, learning how to be open, etc., etc. Anyway, this is just very brief right now. I'm trying to stay brief and not get lost off topic. Anyway, so this year was a big deal for that. I have been working on self-care. My biggest issue has been with employment and my household. Like, I've struggled basically since I got married. I've struggled with keeping the household in order. It's always been pretty chaotic and dirty, which was hard for me because I was never ever able to get on top of that, and I felt misunderstood a lot. Like, that was how I wanted to live, and it was not. It's not someone else's expectations. Like, I feel only self-conscious that other people might judge me. It was definitely my own expectations I wasn't able to meet. So I would say since about 8 years ago, when I had a breakdown, I had to stop working. It has been a big thing where I'm like unpacking my struggles and trying to figure out what has been affecting me and why. How do I need to heal? I've been on and off medications. I've had different diagnoses. I've been diagnosed as ADHD, which I do agree with. I was diagnosed at one point with bipolar type 2. So that is, from my reading anyway, bipolar type 2 is not known as much for highs, manic highs, but more for its lows. Honestly, that diagnosis at the time did not really make sense to me. It didn't feel like it explained everything, but it was at least a diagnosis, and I was so tired and I felt very misunderstood. I was judging myself as well as feeling judged by others. So having some diagnosis, a label that people at least sounded like familiar, felt safer to me than where I was before that. I think it was a year and a half ago, a couple years ago, when I got insurance, because right now I'm a caregiver for my dad, who lives with us. I got insurance through that job, noises outside, sorry. Okay. I got insurance through that job, and I told my psychiatrist at the time that I suspected what I was really dealing with was that my mismanaged ADHD, that I wasn't consistently taking medication, I wasn't accommodating my, scattered attention, that had created these anxieties around commitments because my focus was always struggling. So I think that's been the last couple years. That's mainly where I've been like, focus on accommodating your ADHD appropriately, and over time, the demand avoidance will get better. I've tried different jobs. I've tried jobs that play to my strengths because I can be very socially skilled. That didn't work. I've tried more recently, I think was the closest job I've come to that really was accommodating all my quirks. It was legal transcription, so I was typing from home. I got to choose the jobs. My schedule was almost entirely in my hands. I got to, be at home. It was kind of a quiet job, even though I was listening to recordings. I basically could do it in my own little world and create a bubble for myself. That was very sporadic this year because of what me and my husband were going through. But by the time I came out the other side of, like, once my husband and I had kind of found peace with each other, peace with ourselves, or most of it anyway, still takes some work and some time. I remember one morning I woke up and I was thinking about my day. Again, I had a lot of flexibility in my life. I had stopped working my typing job. I put it on hold. I didn't make any commitments with anybody. I just was take care of myself. And I remember laying in bed, and I knew I needed to take out the trash. And I just felt this heavy, sick feeling. This wasn't new to me. In fact, I'd had the trash sit around bunches and bunches of times, to the point one time there was maggots. That was very horrifying to me, but I'm just gonna be honest here. So I had so much just upset at myself, frustration, kind of some self-loathing, I guess you would say. I decided at that point that whatever this was, that this feeling that I had, because that's just one example of I guess you would say that was just the straw that broke the camel's back. Before that was a million other examples similar to it. I kind of reached this point where I decided this is just how I am. I don't know why I'm this way. I don't understand it, but I have no choice but to assume that it is not going anywhere. And I think that was in probably the beginning of December 2021. I had someone share with me PDA content. I think it was in the middle of summer of 2021. So about 4 or 5 months before my revelation, I had someone share with me information about PDA, and when I read it, I was like this is me. It was so, I don't know how to describe the feeling. I guess just this feeling, a rush of understanding, of validation, of excitement, like someone who doesn't know me is describing me. Weird, quirky things that I'll get into more later in another video. But it was really exciting for me. But the problem is that in the PDA content, hold on one second. Okay, I have 3 boys, so of course there's going to be interruptions, but that's okay. Let's see, where was I? Yeah, someone sharing PDA information. PDA is still being researched. Is this, the big question is this strictly a autistic profile, or is this something else that can also be experienced by people who are not autistic, who have gone through maybe traumas? So when I read that, I assumed in my case, I was the person who had gone through traumas and was experiencing PDA. The main reason was that I do have social skills. I do have social anxiety as well, but I also kind of excel in some ways socially. I was in drama. I have given speeches. I didn't really excel socially, though, all throughout my lifetime. So I have a memory of, I think it was middle school, about halfway through middle school. So maybe, what is that? So like 7th grade? Somewhere around 7th grade. I remember sitting in class with a kid and cracking a joke. Like the first time I just made a joke in front of someone who was not a very close friend of mine. And this person was like shocked. I know who this person is still. I remember who it was, or I think I do anyway. And they were like, "Oh, I didn't know you were funny." So from that point on, I wouldn't say I excelled socially. I still liked to withdraw. I still liked to basically feel invisible when I wanted the option to be invisible. So I never put myself in any position where the obligation was for me to have attention on myself. Or if I did, I quickly found a way to get away from it. So, with maybe the exception of drama in high school, although even there I kind of found my own place. I liked doing certain things in drama, but I really didn't want to be like, say, the main role in a play. I liked side roles. I did take, there were usually small plays for different purposes, like going to state competitions. I would do those and had fun with that. But those were more like short term, and a lot of other people were doing them too. So not everybody was paying attention to just me. There wasn't this feeling of expectation surrounding me. I did and do often have a desire to be the center of attention when I want it. But I do, like I said, I just avoid any kind of role or setting where I feel that heavy, like, performance feeling. But that and other things, I have some hobbies and interests I get really into. I can talk about them passionately. Right now, this is my topic, so it's kind of a joke in the autistic community that when you're your own special interest, it kind of creates an amusing situation. So this is an example of that. But yeah, if I'm talking about something I'm interested in, I can be very engaging. I have learned over the years how to read a room, how to read a social interaction. If it's worth my energy or time, I'm pretty quick to determine that. I mostly avoid situations, though, because it is very, very draining to have to assess in that way. What else? Yeah, so I had my reasons for dismissing autism as a possibility for me, and it wasn't until I got into a discussion on Facebook where I brought up to someone else the possibility of PDA. I said clearly at that time, I am not autistic though, da-da-da-da-da. Someone else contributed and said, basically, that's not possible. PDA is autism. And I got very defensive, very emotional, and rebutted, like, this is my experience. You can't. I just felt very invalidated in that moment, very upset. I remember I called my mom crying because of it. So I yeah, I'm not sorry. I'm just trying to think of what more to say about that. I don't know. It's just hard to describe how it feels to feel self-conscious your whole life, to feel like you're hiding certain attributes because you assume a negative connotation about yourself. You assume laziness or flakiness or the inability to commit. This is already a pretty long video, so I decided I'm gonna kind of cut this shorter than I thought I would and break it into more pieces, but that's okay. I guess that makes it a daily thing. And no pressure. It's for me. I'm not promoting this outside of just maybe sharing it on my Facebook if anybody wants to follow it. If it goes beyond that, that's fine, but it's my own, it's for me. So, but I don't want to ramble for like, 40 minutes every video. So for today, we'll just, I'm going to kind of wrap this up here and say, conclude by saying that conversation with that person really was upsetting to me. I was in tears because I felt like here, once again, I was being invalidated. I was being second guessed about what I really felt. Just because I was not autistic, I could not have these experiences. I had someone else who was more diplomatic comment on this back and forth I had, and she said, hey, there is still debate about whether PDA is autism or whether it is something else. But keep in mind that if you are, hold on. Okay, last bit. I was just trying to describe, what was it? Oh, okay. Yes, how a stranger diplomatically came into the conversation I was having and described how autism can look different. Some of the stereotypes of autism can look different with PDA, especially the social aspects. If your special interest as an autistic person happens to be relationships. When she said that, and I had kind of read that before and thought, but her saying it again, it was like, the floodgates opened for me. Was very emotional again about that. I called my friend Laura and was bawling. It was very jarring to feel like I didn't know something about myself so that was so significant, especially as someone who likes to study psychology, who enjoys topics relating to the mind, relating to thinking. I have a bachelor's in religious studies, but I have a master's in human services counseling. That does not make me remotely studied on, like, my master's degree is not very rigorous in the concepts of psychology, but it has been, as I worked on myself, it has become something that I'm interested in. I've joined groups, I've been in, studied things on my own time. I have a psychologist that I talk to regularly, and I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on the topic as a whole. I've worked with children who are autistic in my past. I have even on the sly identified some friends or acquaintances that I feel or felt like are on the spectrum. And I've brought it up to them at times, and if it's something they care to know more about, then talk about it, but I don't force that conversation. Anyway, it was a very disorienting feeling. So that, I guess I'll end this video at this spot. I might spend a few days kind of explaining more about this journey I'm on. Overall, what I hope to do with these videos is to have a place to kind of unpack some of the things I'm learning about myself, the quirks or things that I thought were quirks about me. It has helped a lot to have a diagnosis for it instead of just seeing these as individual you know, like a constellation, I guess, of traits that I thought, well, that's just how I am, you know, which is true. It is how I am. But then to have it become a cohesive picture is very exciting to me, and it has helped me a lot to plan my future trajectory, to know what expectations I can put on myself, what things I want to push myself on, what things I need to stop pushing myself on. I want to find stability. So my kids, sorry. I think that this journey is me trying to find stability, and I'm starting to see some success, but we'll stop here. Like I said, I don't want to hijack anybody's life if they get interested in this and then all of a sudden they have, you know, an hour-long video from me. So anyway, just anybody who's watched this, I thank you for the time you're putting into it. Feel free to ask me any questions, and I will bring up those questions in later videos. We'll see what comes of this. No pressure, right? That's kind of the mantra. No pressure. I should put that as my tagline. No pressure. Like a rainbow.